Morning, everybody. This is Jim McDaniel. I'm the Marketing and Technology Director here at URL, and I'll be kind of running the slideshow for everyone today on our May 15th COVID-19 insurance news and marketing update. As you know, in Pennsylvania, insurance is an essential life-sustaining business, and we're going to continue to hold these weekly webinars to update you on industry news, share some marketing and sales concepts that you can use starting today. We're also here to field any questions you may have. There's a couple of different ways you can get questions over to us. I'm going to flip over to the homepage of our website here real quick. From our homepage, you can click on this little peel at the top. That'll take you to our insurance news page, which has the various newsletters we put out. They're all archived here. Any webinars, webinars that are specifically focused on COVID-19 sales, tools and tips for businesses, you'll find a lot of that here, a variety of different resources. And as you scroll down, you'll see archive of our newsletter, and even further down are the archive of these webinars that we hold every Friday. Also at the top right, you can fill out your name, email address, send any COVID-19 questions over that you may have during the week. We will reply to you directly and also include them on this webinar each Friday. So I'm going to flip back here. So on the call today from Health Plan Options, we've got Deb Wilkinson and Thomas Purcell for a Employee Benefits Health Plan Options update, and Steve Clemens and Matt Alina from the Life Markets team to update us on that side of things. As we go through the webinar today, you'll notice the Go to Meeting, Go to Webinar control panel over on the right. There is one resource to download today that you can click on that link and download. And I think that's from the Health Plan Options Department. And then there's a couple links that we mentioned in the webinar today that we will send out as a clickable link and a follow-up message after this webinar. Sometime I think it goes out Friday afternoon. So without any further ado, I'll move it along to Deb and her team.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Thomas Purcell. Sorry I missed you last week, but I'm here to deliver some relative content to what's going on with the legislative news. So I figured we'd start off with a little humor this morning, some Breakfast Club humor. Sometimes it feels like we're in a movie. I'm sure you all can relate. So it's nice to laugh on a Friday. Some updates for you. You know, recently there's been somewhat of a showdown between local lawmakers, you know, Lebanon County, Dauphin County, Lancaster County, among others, who were pushing back against Governor Wolf and his red to yellow timeframe. Most have decided to drop those plans to break out of the government stage reopening plan. 13 counties have entered 13 more counties entered the yellow phase today. There was multiple continued hearings. They started last week and continued into this week. Senate hearings pertaining to the Wolf administration and their response to COVID-19. The Wolf administration released their business waiver list, but ignored a subpoena to release more information about their somewhat secretive process of granting waivers to businesses or rejecting them during the pandemic. I think it's interesting to note that we have there's some small businesses in Lancaster County that were granted waivers, went through the process, were granted the waivers, and have been open for weeks under those waivers, just to receive a letter this past week saying that they're no longer eligible for that waiver. So I think the timing of that's interesting when the administration's being required to provide more info to the general public on this matter. So more to come on that. Next slide, please. Some lawmakers, in regards to those Senate hearings I've mentioned, some lawmakers are calling for the resignation of the PA Department of Labor Secretary and the Secretary of Health and Human Services for the unemployment compensation system failures, quite frankly, and other issues related to the pandemic. So we'll see what happens with that. Attorney General Josh Shapiro is launching an investigation into several nursing homes. We're not sure if it's unclear if it's related to the COVID-19 pandemic, but the state did just announce yesterday that they're going to be revealing more coronavirus information, deaths, infections, and some more details in regards to the nursing homes and the COVID-19 pandemic. So again, more to come on that, just trying to keep you updated on what's going on there. If we could go to the next, the Department of Labor Secretary, this is good news. They announced that any self-employed employers, independent contractors, or anyone else that isn't normally eligible for unemployment compensation, they can actually file unemployment claims now, backdated to January 27th or whatever the first day that they were unable to work due to COVID. So any agents out there that are sole props, this is something that good news for you. Next slide, please. So this week, the IRS announced it's going to allow employees to make plan changes mid-year. This is somewhat unheard of if you're familiar with the group health department. They're going to allow employees to change plans if the employer offers more than one plan, add previously waived dependents, drop a plan, enroll in a plan. They're going to allow them to do so. There's more. That's all that's really been released at this time. We'll provide more details once we have those from the carriers and the IRS. There's a possible vote today from the House on the Democrats' HEROES Act, the most recent bill. I'm not sure if anyone's had the pleasure of breezing through that document, but it's a cool 1,815 pages. So nice reading pleasure. It covers a lot of different things, including state and local assistance, student debt forgiveness, farmer assistance, hazard pay for the frontline and healthcare workers, and obviously much more if it's an 1,800 plus page document. But the vote's expected on that today. And then lastly, I just wanted to remind everyone of our Orion Concierge referral program. If you're a life agent working with business owners on life policies or key man policies, or specialize in transitioning an employee from the employer group to Medicare, or handle annuities for retirees or retirement plans for businesses, if you're in front of those types of consumers and not offering group health, at least through the Orion program, you're missing out on significant value. You could be offering your clients and significant additional revenue for you with very little work on your part. So I just wanted to briefly remind you of that. I'm here to help. I spearhead that. So if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to have a conversation. So with that being said, happy Friday, everyone. I'm going to hand it off to Deb.
Thanks, Thomas. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. What a great end to the week with some expected great weather here in the mid-state. I'm going to switch it up a little and talk a little bit about voluntary benefits. We've talked about over the last couple weeks about the transition back to work and how you may engage and keep your employer groups engaged and employees engaged enough to get back to work once the groups, get back to business. So voluntary benefits is a great way to do that. A lot of groups right now, or quite possibly on 7/1, are going to experience a rate increase. That's just that medical trend in and of itself typically warrants a rate increase. So what do employers that are already strapped do with that increase? A lot of employers are also thinking that we can no longer pay for employer-sponsored benefits. So a lot of those situations really cry out for offering voluntary benefits. If the employer can no longer offer them, then the employees probably like that value in the life insurance and the disability and anything else that is offered, accident, hospital, indemnity. So that can become a voluntary program where the employees can pay for that themselves, and it's portable. So that's an option for those employers that are really strapped and starting to consider dropping those employer-paid benefits. Another thing is if the rate increase is such that it's really not affordable, of course, bumping up that deductible is kind of what is the first thought to do. And I'm here to say that that's still an option. But, you know, maybe put in an underlying hospital confinement plan or a bridge type plan. You know, maybe the employer can even contribute to that with the savings on a higher deductible, not necessarily even a qualified plan. But here's an example from Colonial that it really shows some value as far as real dollar savings for looking at this sort of concept. Next slide, please. Oops, back one, there we go. So here's my offer. You know, last week we talked about Colonial Life, and throughout the weeks, John Reel, the manager of the Benefit Administration Department, has also talked about options for getting those virtual meetings set up. Because quite frankly, who knows what's going to happen? We almost have to plan as if virtual meetings is going to be the new norm, because quite frankly, it probably is. So how do you, as a broker, handle that? How do you manage that? How do you manage getting in front virtually of every employee that you know that you have currently, not even considering looking at new clients? So my offer again is this: for the first 10 agents that reach out, Colonial Life has put together a virtual postcard. So one way to use that is to reach out to your current groups that do not have voluntary benefits. And there are videos in this virtual card that explain the value of voluntary benefits, or more specifically, you know, disability. You know, so it's a learning experience. It prompts them to start thinking about these benefits, and of course, then they reach out to you to handle this. Now, you might think, well, that's just upselling, and in a certain way, it is. You're upselling, but the benefit on the back end is that Colonial Life has their own portal, their Ben admin portal, that they will enroll online virtually, either through a benefits counselor, emails, or Zoom meetings, each and every employee, not only with Colonial Life benefits, but the core benefits as well. So as you're thinking ahead to fourth quarter and how you're going to manage this extra or this new sort of wrinkle in presenting to groups, I want you to keep in mind, you know, the options. All you have to do is reach out to myself or Elise. We'll get you in touch with Dina. You can talk about the details of the group, and again, enroll not only in those core benefits, but also add really meaningful real life benefits from Colonial. So that's my commercial and my offer for today. You can go ahead to the next slide. Pardon me. So some of the upcoming things that we're looking at, just to help you out and look at different things during this time, is some training. So United Concordia is offering a CE course on oral systemic connection, you know, to health. That's Monday, June 1st at 11. Health Savings is a vendor that we're working with that has a unique twist on health savings accounts. So that is Thursday, June 25th at 10 a.m. And then also on that day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm holding a webinar to talk about IHC benefits, which includes the very attractive short-term programs, the ancillary programs such as telemedicine, but also their group link program. So for those of you in the group health market, take a look at those dates and see if you can register. Even if you can't attend, you would get a recording of the webinar, even if you register. So please take some time and do that today. Next slide, please. And as always, we're here. The entire team is here. My contact information is up there, as well as Thomas. We also have Elise Fry at extension 114, and 114, and John Reel at extension 118. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Steve Clemens, Vice President of Life Markets. And happy Friday, Steve. Take it away.
Thank you, Deb, and thank you everybody for being on the call today. Appreciate that. Hope you guys all had a good, productive week and are going to have a nice weekend. Have a few updates for you in Life Markets today. A couple come with on our final expense side with Foresters and Transamerica temporarily not accepting business on clients over age 75. So if you have a client that is 76 plus needing final expense coverages, please reach out to Matt Alina on our life team in regards to what companies are issuing policies for those ages. And those who write Foresters, on their Plan Right Final Expense application, they do have an e-application now available non-face-to-face in 43 states. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania and New York are not two of those included, but other surrounding states are all included: Maryland, Virginia, DC, New Jersey, Ohio, etc. So I touched on this about 3 weeks ago prior to going live as a new service from the Life Markets Department. This is live now. We do have a consumer life quoting tool. So for anyone out there who would like a life insurance facing website for your clients, you can have this through URL. You can access this would be a snapshot of the cover page. Your name, your company logo will be in the top left-hand corner of the site, and your phone number on the top right, and then clearly kind of in the middle of the page. And what this is a direct-to-consumer quoting tool that allows you to have life insurance content information for your clients, as well as them the ability to run a term life quote, a burial expense, final expense quote, or a mortgage protection quote within a matter of a minute. So let's take a look at the next slide. As you can see, we can offer the three different options. And depending on what your primary market is, you can put either term life, the final expense, burial expense at the top, or the mortgage protection at the top of the page. Next slide. And to get a quote, it's 4 easy steps. It takes a client less than a minute to complete. First, obviously, they're going to put the amount of coverage they want into the section. So in this case, we're looking at $500,000. If they don't know how much they want, there is a needs analysis page that they can go to and conduct a quick needs analysis, something we covered in previous Friday meetings here. And then what state they live in. And then they click next. And then name, email address, and where they were born, or what their date of birth is, and their gender. Very easy information. They click next. And then we go to the next slide for step 3 of 4. And they choose tobacco or non-tobacco, and on the term, how many years of coverage. This will quote 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40-year level terms with our carriers. So then the last stage before they get their quote is they have to input their cell phone number to get the 5-digit code to access their quote. So this ensures for you when your client or lead comes to this site that while some people may try to put a dummy email address in to get their quote, you will have a verified cell phone number for your lead. So they put in their cell phone number, they click send code, it sends them via text message a code, they click the code in, and they get their quote. It's the same process whether you're running a term life quote as we see here, and it's in a very simple format. It's going to provide each company from best class to from a preferred best to a standard class left to right, and it's only going to show the companies you want it to show. So you're going to have your choice of roughly 15 companies to show on the quote engine. You can just choose one, you can choose all 15, or whichever companies you want to show for your quote engine. Next. And then it's the same for the final expense, the same process, and they will get their final expense quote. And again, you're going to choose the companies that are shown on the quote engine. Next slide. So if it is something of interest, this service is provided is $23.99 monthly for your website and quote engine, consumer quote engine. If you were to pay annually, you get 2 months off the premium, would be $239.99 annually. And if you wanted to have a agent mobile quoter that you could have on your phone, where you can access that if you're in an appointment and need to run a quick quote right from your phone, it's an extra $1 a month, or it's $12 a year for that extra service. So if you are in life insurance, property and casualty, group markets, if it's not your primary market, you'll have a place to send clients and go for that information. Next page. And then a couple statistics in regards to if you don't have web presence currently and you are in the millennial market, more than half of millennials say they've researched life insurance online, but they purchase from an insurance professional. So, what I like to say is, if they're going to be researching online, it's better that they're researching online on your website and not somebody else's. Because even though you may have a client there already, if they're going out online and researching and they're going to a neighboring agent's website, it's not a great place for them to be going, when you can kind of direct them towards your website for life insurance information, for quotes, as well as if they needed a needs analysis, it's right there on the website. And you can do that right in-house with your client. Next slide, please. And 73% say they used an agent or advisor's website to educate themselves about insurance products. And that's from the 2018 Life Insurance Barometer study. So if this is something of interest, it's not something as soon as you turn on, you should expect 10 leads a day coming into your website. The key to this is marketing it. You can add your social media to that website. You can add a link to your Facebook page, your YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. You can add those links onto your direct-to-consumer quote engine. You can market it there and have links to your direct-to-consumer quoting tool right there. And you have to market that service to your clients and to prospective clients for them to drive traffic and to go there. If you have an existing website, you can have a link to get a life insurance quote on your website. Send letters, have it as a attachment on your email. So maybe it's a tagline on your email, get a life insurance quote in less than a minute. Great if you're in the group markets, casualty markets, or Medicare markets for the final expense. And that's really it on that program. It is now live. It takes about 5 minutes to get set up, and then it's live, ready to go, and you can start sending it out to consumers. And that's all I have for this morning. I will pass it over to Matt Alina on the final expense side. If you are interested in getting set up with the direct-to-consumer quote engine, you can certainly reach out to me directly. My email address and direct extension are listed on the screen. Have a great weekend, everybody. Matt, happy Friday, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Steve. Happy Friday, everybody. I wanted to start off with some good news here, and that, with this cartoon that almost has the exact same hair length that I have, able to get to a barber, although my wife did help me with the Corona cut last week after buying some clippers. But anyway, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and so I wanted to start off with some good news. Next slide, please. So as you probably are aware, and as Thomas kind of, we almost feel like we're in a movie. He used Breakfast Club. I feel like Groundhog's Day. The only thing that's different for me is that I'm not waking up to Sonny and Cher. States are slowly opening up for business. I believe there's about 20 or so states that are open for business. Pennsylvania is slowly opening up. So for you Pennsylvania producers, let me explain to you what red, yellow, and green means. Red, basically for us in the life insurance marketplace, or just in insurance in general, we are not allowed to do face-to-face sales. However, we do have some programs in place for you that you can do telesales. When we move to yellow, some of you who are on the call today in Pennsylvania, you're in a yellow county. Congratulations, way to go. You can do face-to-face sales. However, telesales is still encouraged. Basically, if the person you are going to meet face-to-face is okay with you showing up at their house or their business or whatever, you can do that. Of course, you'd probably want to still take those social distancing measures that we've been doing the last couple of months. Once your county moves to green, then it's considered business as quote unquote usual. We don't know what the new usual or new norm is going to be, but there shouldn't be as many restrictions on what we are doing. For those of you who are outside of Pennsylvania, you do want to check with your home state Department of Insurance for updates on what you're allowed to do and so on. So if you do have questions, feel free to contact me and I will certainly help you with that. We do have some systems in place as well to help you with the transition from going from red to yellow to green. So I know some of this is some repetitive stuff, but we do have some information here to help you with coming out on the other end of COVID-19. As we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we do have available fresh leads. Basically, what I'm trying to get at with fresh leads is that the demand, the consumer demand for life insurance is high. So we're trying to match up agents with leads, with that demand. So we can get you live transfer leads, telemarketed leads, direct mail leads, social media leads. And when you pay for these leads, based on your production, based on what you place each month, we're subsidizing those lead costs for you when you place it with us here at URL. We do have sales scripts to help you out, to kind of use as a template to help you and help your client guide both of you to the close, always trying to close that sale. We also have scripts for appointment setting. How do you get somebody on the phone and have them agree to meet with you or have them agree to purchase from you? And we also have some competitive carriers. And on the next slide, we do have access to technology. We have an online quoting tool that you can access through our website. We also have the consumer quote engine that Steve just talked about. And we also have links to online applications and also tele-apps. We do have some compliant cross-selling letters and postcards. Some of the letters have actually been written by specific carriers. Some of the letters have been written by me taking some of those letters and kind of putting it all together. And then, of course, there are postcards that have been put together by the various carriers. So if you are interested in any of that information, feel free to give me a call at 717-216-8041. Next slide, please. We'll go real quick through here. Here are some of the lead choices that we have: direct mail, we have tele leads, Facebook leads, and also live transfer leads. On the next slide, I want to just kind of go over live transfer leads. Some of you have already been contacting me about leads, and kudos to you for doing that. And just to kind of let you know what's going on, with live transfer leads, they're $35 to $38 per qualified live transfer. These are, you get to determine the targeted demographic that you want to work, that you want to target. You also get to make your own schedule, so you're not at the mercy of the telemarketing company. You tell them what your schedule is. If you want to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you want to work Tuesday, Thursday, and then the hours during the day that you want to be receiving calls. You're not doing any cold calling. You're not signing any contracts, and you are able to focus on closing sales instead of making that awkward cold call. It's a warm transfer. So as we're talking about the different costs that are associated with leads, on the next slide, I want to talk about the lead subsidies. And I know we've talked, right now we've got, we're for Gemini partners, for every $1,000 of place final expense, for every $1,000 of place final expense business that you place each month, we're right now crediting $100 for every $1,000 for Gemini partners. For Aries partners, you're getting $75 for every $1,000 of place final expense annualized premium. So we are kicking that into gear here for you. So when you participate in our lead program, I automatically put you on my list so that I can check your production so that we can get those leads credit over to you. Next slide, please. As Steve alluded to, there are some companies that have just been added. I just didn't get a chance to put them on the chart here. Foresters, they have telesales as well, but of course Pennsylvania and New York are a couple of states that are not included. 43 out of the 50 states it is approved. Transamerica, as Steve also mentioned, they are not issuing policies for people age 75 and older. Same thing with Foresters, their age cutoff is 75 for those of you that can do the plan right final expense plan. All the other things here have stayed pretty much the same, and we do have all the tools and resources to help you with that, and I can help you with selecting some final expense carriers if you don't already have some of these carriers in your tool belt. Next slide, please. Just a couple of updates as to what's going on here. The first Monday of the month, which is June 1st, we have our final expense monthly Monday. That's for agents that are either looking to get involved in final expense or agents who are already involved in final expense. It's a way for you to kind of see what's going on specifically in the final expense marketplace. And we provide some tools and updates and a bunch of other things. And it's an area where agents can share some information with each other, successes as well as challenges, and we try to sort those things out. And then we also have an exclusive training here, our Facebook marketing and advertising training, and that's going to be on Wednesday, June 3rd. So details are coming soon. And with that, I'll give it back over to Jim to field any questions that we might have.
All right, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. We did have a question come over here from Tony, and Tony, I think Tony's question is going to be directed to Deb here, because something you mentioned earlier on in your slides. And Tony asks, does the ability to change enroll in a plan include FSAs?
It does. There is a provision for the spending accounts. That is really prompted by the employer. If the employer allows for those changes, the IRS has allowed them to happen, but the employer has to allow for those changes. And there are there are different things that you have to adhere to with the FSAs. It has to be an appropriate change. For instance, if you participate in the child care FSA, and you have reduced your child care, now is not the time to increase your child care FSA. So that would not make logical sense, and that would not be allowed. So hope that answers your question.
All right, thanks, Deb. It seems to be all the questions we have. At the end of this webinar, you'll be presented with a form where you can provide any additional feedback or content that you'd like to hear on our next Friday's webinar. You can always visit our homepage in the COVID-19 insurance news banner up in the top right there. You can get to that, and all this content is archived there. Certainly appreciate your time here today with us. Thanks for attending. Hope everybody has a great weekend and you have great weather wherever you're at. Thanks so much, and we'll speak with you next week. Bye now.